Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about Learn Math Fast. I want to give you a flip through, a little review of the math program, and I'll let you know a little bit about how it's been working in our homeschool. So first of all, just to give you an idea of how this is laid out, Learn Math Fast is a 7-volume math program. I'm pretty sure. I think I said before in a different video that it was 6. It's actually 7. Pretty sure. And all you need is each of these 7 volumes. They have the teacher's guide, or like the whole thing is like a teacher's guide. It's all scripted. I'll show you the flip through in a bit. And then each lesson has a worksheet to go with it. The idea behind this is you can learn all your math through these 7 volumes. Right at the beginning, there's ideas on if you're working with younger students. So it says you can use this with kids that are 6 and up. They just need to be able to count to 100, read and write numbers, have a basic understanding of the base 10 system, and know that 1 plus 2 equals 3. So that's all a kid needs to know to get started with this. You can also do it with older kids and fly through lessons quickly, use it to cover things maybe they haven't fully mastered. So this is a mastery-based program. If you don't understand a lesson, you don't move on. You keep working on it until you move on to the next one. That is very different for me to wrap my mind around as someone that grew up going into like a public and like private school education. We were always doing the spiral system where you just keep learning the same things every year, but you generally tend to learn them a little bit harder, and especially in the school system, if you don't understand a lesson, it doesn't matter. The teacher is moving on to the next lesson the next day. So this is a bit different to be able to be mentally okay with sitting with a lesson for a little bit and making sure that we know it before moving on. It definitely, like, my public school education brain fights against that a bit, but I'm actually really enjoying this. So I'm doing this with my 5th and 8th grader. We have tried a few different math things in the last few years. Previously, they were doing the Good and the Beautiful math before, and we tried teaching textbooks. We've done Khan Academy, and then we've done a lot of unschooling math stuff. This is the system that we've been sticking with the longest, and I feel like my kids are learning the most from. So I'm going to show you guys a bit of a flip through, give you an idea of what a lesson looks like, and I only own volume 1 right now, so I'll show you how it starts, the different sections that are in it, and then after that I want to talk about the pros and cons for this program. Okay, so here is the table of contents, the different lessons that this first volume covers. We go through addition and subtraction, adding numbers larger than 10, multiplication and division, and then US standard measurements. Those are the 4 chapters in this book. As Canadians, we're going to skim over this a little bit when we get here, but we're also going to add in the measurements that we use here, although we do use both a little bit of US measurements and British measurements, so we'll kind of do double duty there. So when you get started here, it's got the information how to start depending on your kids' ages. So if they're 6 to 8 years old, if they're 9 to 14, or high school and older. There's also a fast track where you can do all 7 volumes in less than a year. So chapter 1 starts out with addition and subtraction. Lesson 1 is adding numbers up to 5. So you can do this with younger kids for sure. So they use manipulatives. Here they use coins. They tell you to get 5 pennies, which is funny because we don't use pennies here in Canada anymore, but we just used different counters for that. So after each lesson, there is a worksheet to go through. Then they also have these 30-second tests sometimes where you're supposed to quiz your kid, and if they can't do the answers in 30 seconds, you don't move on. Now my kids, the ones that I'm working through this with, anytime you use the word test or you time things, they instantly know nothing. So we don't do this. I'm purposefully working through the lessons and watching them do the worksheets so I can see if they know the stuff. I don't feel like I need to do this in order to tell. I can tell based on how the worksheet has gone. So each lesson is fully scripted for you. You just read out exactly what it says to your child. You work through the things together. Sometimes it'll say, like, you tell your kid to say aloud 2 + 4 = 6. So the lessons are very simple. There's no work required beforehand for you. So you just read the lesson, do the worksheet. Like I said, we skip the test. They don't always have these. They just have those mostly at the beginning. So this advances up to numbers up to 7. I'll skip ahead here. Let's see. Lesson 10 is adding and subtracting double-digit numbers in your head. So there's that. Skip ahead a bit more. Lesson 32, we're multiplying by hand. So once again, you like read out the lesson, go through that together, then they complete the worksheet. Chapter 4, U.S. standard measurements. So there's the lesson, the worksheet, the lesson, the worksheet. Very simple. And then the answers are all in the back as well. So you've got answers for all the different worksheets back here. So the book is laid out really simply, very easy to just grab and go. Not a whole lot. Like, you do need some manipulatives for some of the stuff at the beginning, but if you just grab out a few things for counters, that's all you need. So I guess we'll start with pros. No, let's start with cons. Let's do the negatives first because that's more fun for some reason. I don't actually have a lot for cons. My biggest con is the font. Comic Sans, like, can we not do Comic Sans? But Comic Sans is also better for kids with dyslexia because the letters are slightly more spaced out. But still, can we not do Comic Sans? It's minor, it bothers me, but it's really minor. The other con, so I really only have like 2 cons. The other con is there's only 1 worksheet per lesson. You can go online and get extras. I have done this. If I feel like we need more practice, I will. I mean, it's easy to find worksheets for like any kind of math problems, at least especially stuff that you're learning in volume 1. It would be nice if there was more worksheets, but I totally understand that why there isn't. But that could be a con. I'll work this kind of into a con as well, going off of that, like only 1 worksheet per lesson. Because I'm using this with my older learners, I don't think I will do this next year with my child that will be in 1st grade next year. Partly because I don't know how, I can't imagine really how it would work with a 6-year-old. You wouldn't get very far. And for some 6-year-olds that might be okay. You just, you spend a lot of time learning, like adding up to 7 or whatever it is. But my soon-to-be grade 1er loves math. And he, I think, would benefit from the spiral system because I think he would really like to do a worksheet or 2 a day for math. At this point, I think we will probably go the Good and the Beautiful math route for him because he loves math and numbers so much. I just think this wouldn't be enough math for him. Like, he would reach his knowledge point really fast and then we would be stuck there for a while. I think he would want more time with it. So I don't know if that's a con. I'd be curious to know people that have started this with younger learners, how that has gone, especially if that child loves numbers. Because I don't think that my kindergartner, soon to be 1st grader, who loves numbers will understand multiplication very quickly. So we won't, I think this just won't work for him at the beginning. Maybe we will work with this later on. Now, pros, I actually have quite a bit. I love that this is a mastery system. So as people that have done a lot of unschooling math type stuff and tried a few different things, I have felt like there has been gaps in my kids' math knowledge because when you switch from like one curriculum to another or try something different, things just fall between the cracks because not every curriculum is laid out exactly the same. This, by starting at the beginning, I started at the beginning with my 5th grader and the beginning of multiplication with my 8th grader. By starting them early on with things that I knew that they knew, we are able to see if there's any gaps that they've missed. Now, it does say with every learner you should start with the very first lesson, and I just thought my 8th grader would feel a little insulted if I started her with like adding up to 5. And I know that she has good skills when it comes to addition and subtraction. She's really good at that. So I felt confident starting her with multiplication, but I did it against what the book says. Another big pro for me was the price. So here in Canada, this was $35. I think it's closer to like $25 in the States for one book for volume 1. So even if I buy all 7 volumes down the road, this is still way cheaper than a lot of math curriculums. Another thing that I love is that when you buy it, you get a link and a password in order to be able to get the PDF for all the worksheets. So I just print out the worksheets separately for each of my kids, and we're not actually writing in this book. I really appreciate that, so I can use this with all my kids over the years. I appreciate places where I can save money. And I really appreciate the open and go-ness of this. There is lots of cool tricks that I'm pretty sure J.K. Mergens is a female. I'm pretty sure. There's lots of cool tricks that she shares, especially when it comes to multiplication, on how to remember different things. And there's some tricks that are like, oh, I do that trick, but I couldn't put that into words, or I didn't realize I did that trick until I read it in here. I appreciate how she tries to find like the simplest ways to teach math. So far, this has been a really good refresher for me, and both my kids have been enjoying it. As much as neither of them love math. Okay, so let me say, they're not like, ooh, it's time to do math. But out of all the things that we've done, I've seen the most progress here. We've stuck with it the longest, and they both said they prefer this to the other kinds of math that we've done before. So far so good. We are not quite done volume 1 yet, but it won't be long, and I'll be buying volume 2 for my 8th, soon to be 9th grader. And so I'm assuming, at least for the foreseeable future, we will be sticking with this.